Sorry guys, I got a phone call and I got cut off. Okay, I'm gonna start this whole live all over again. I wanted to go live today to answer all of your guys' questions on day trading. I know a lot of you guys have DM'd a ton of questions today actually, so I'm so excited to dive in and answer those questions. The first place I want to start today is giving you guys an explanation on my Palantir trade, and that's where I left off when I got cut off. So I was talking about why did I exit early on Palantir. To a lot of people that looks like an early exit because I got in in the 140s. I think it's around 145, 146, something like that. I took a $3 profit, which is 2%. Usually I take 1%. I exceeded my 1%. Now, I shared in my Telegram channel this morning that I will be trading Palantir. I know this is like the most certain trade you can make this morning. There's actually a lot of opportunity this morning in the market. So anyways, I knew Palantir was going to fly, and yet I still took 1%. And this sometimes really baffles people. It's like, why didn't you stay? Because it went all the way up to 160. I could have easily taken 10%, probably more than 10%. I did not because I am loyal to my 1% method. I am loyal to my 1% method because I know that any extra profit I take is not worth giving up the regulated nervous system that I bring to trading. When I trade, it's with I'm calm, I'm certain, I know what to expect. I know what to expect because I do the same thing every day. I don't change my strategy. I don't change my goal. I don't change my target just because something is happening in the market. That gives my nervous system a degree of certainty that keeps me calm on days when the market is not going my way. The market isn't always going to be this easy. It's not always going to be a sure shot like Palantir. There's going to be days where it's more challenging. And on those days, I'm regulated. I stay regulated. I'm not looking for, because here's the other thing that happens. If I were to take that whole 10%, okay, there's a couple of reasons for this. If I take that, there is like a dopamine hit from that. Of course, I don't get dopamine hits because I take 1% every day. My body knows to expect that. My brain knows to expect that. So it's just part of a routine. It's like for me, I wake up, I brush my teeth, I do my yoga, I do my things, grab a coffee. I grow my account by 1% and then I go and do my things. It's just like a normal thing. There's never any, emotional dysregulation. Guys, emotional dysregulation is also when you have a dopamine hit, right? So there's none of that. It's just very normal. If I were to take more than the 1% today on Palantir, I'm giving that up. That is what makes me profit in the long run. So I just stay loyal to this process. Now, here's the other thing. I quote unquote exited early, according to most people. I never have regret. I don't walk away coming back and looking at the price and saying, oh my God, if I held Palantir for another 10, 15 minutes, I could have made another $5 or another $10. I never get that feeling because I wouldn't have done that. I would have just sold and I would have made my 1%. So this makes day trading for me, in my mind, in my body, a very calm place. The same thing happens every day, almost the same thing. It's usually around 1% every single day. That is what happens. That is what I expect. And here's the other thing of it, guys. Your brain filters your reality. It filters your reality based on your beliefs, based on what you expect, right? So when I expect to make 1% every day and I always take that 1% and I'm loyal to that, I show up, I do my part of the bargain, the market returns the favor simply because my brain is able to filter it that way. That is how I'm able to find these opportunities every day, because I remain loyal to it. So even when the market's up, or not even the market, it was just Palantir that was up, and I could have taken more, I'm loyal. I'm no, this is my method, this is how I do it, and this is what I'm gonna do. So that is why I quote unquote exited early, and I would do it again and again. I have no regrets. I also have no regrets in the sense that it went up and I could have done more. This is my process, and it works because in the long run, I know I can double my money in 6 to 8 months. I know that. I don't have to worry. I don't have to sit and waste my time and energy fretting over the fact that it went up so much. And I never have to go back and check a stock. Once I leave the market, my trade was done in 5 minutes today. I'm done for the day. I'm off. I'm running my businesses. I spent so much time with my kids today. In fact, it was one of those days where I was so chill. We had so much white space in the day. Okay. So that's the Palantir trade. I do see questions coming up and I do want to answer them. And I've written down all the questions that you guys sent, responded to my story and DM'd me. So let's dive in. Okay. If you feel comfortable asking how much, I don't look at it as a dollar amount, guys, because look at it as a percentage. Because the reason I look at it as a percentage is that the percentage tells you your ability to make money. The capital determines how much money you're going to make, and that capital can change. The reason that I borrowed money, like for those of you who don't know my story, I borrowed $100,000 to when I knew that I could make it in day trading. Okay, that's after 6 months of paper trading, 9 months of trading with $10,000, which was also borrowed money. But I understood that I could make 30% ROI. I knew that because I had proven that in over a year of watching the markets. Then I'm like, well, I could just borrow 100,000. So the amount of the dollar amount doesn't matter. Develop the skill, know what you're making every single day, and then the capital will come. I've shared my story of my clients so many times where she didn't have capital. She had $2,000 and then she got a check for $22,000. Immediately she knew, I'm putting that check in the day trading account. Why? Because she was already generating, she was doing more than 1% a day. She was already generating that ROI. So she was able to double her money. So focus on the percentage, not the dollar amount. Create the skill, focus on the percentage, create a routine, create discipline, and then worry about the capital. Okay. I saw some more questions. So I'm going to, anyone has questions, drop them in the chat. How much is enough to leave a 9-to-5 job? It depends on how much you want to make. Somebody asked me this question. They're like, oh, you're day trading. Like, you must feel like you've made it now. Like you have, enough capital. I'm like, the funny thing about money is when you make it, suddenly you hear about something. You're like, oh, now I want that too. The irony is I'll share the story since we're talking. I was actually speaking at a workshop about money mindset. And just before that, I ran into this woman, and I didn't know her. I chat with strangers. We were in a coffee shop. I started chatting with her. Turns out that she has her flying license, and she was saying how she bought a plane and that she was going to go to Paris for the weekend. I was like, wow. And then I got asked this question, like, you must be happy. I'm like, I don't know. I just heard about this woman with a plane. I'm like, well, that would be nice to have too, right? So you got to think about what kind of lifestyle you want to live. It also matters if you can compound your results, right? If you're leaving your 9-to-5 job, guys, I didn't have any other source of income when I started day trading. So what happened to me is I'm pulling profits out of the account. I was never compounding anything in the account because now I'm relying on these profits to pay my bills, right? If you're okay doing that, you're not saving money, then you could borrow money, quit your job, do what I did. I would recommend compounding because you'll grow your money way faster. If I had that available to me, I would definitely do that. Then I had a loan. I had to pay back the loan, right? So then that really slows down the progress of how quickly your account can grow. If you have a 9-to-5 and you have enough flexibility in your job to bring day trading into your life, I would get completely solid in day trading. Figure out what you want in terms of lifestyle and then make the decision whether or not to leave your job. You could also look at a job that requires less hours, right? That's always an option. Okay, is there any more in here? How was my long weekend? Thank you for asking. It's funny. To me, every day is like, any day can be a weekend and any day can be a work weekend. So I actually did a lot of work over the long weekend, but then today and yesterday was very relaxing. What is a good capital amount to start with as a beginner? If it really depends. If you are someone who's willing to paper trade, which I highly recommend, at least 3 months of paper trading, then I think I borrowed 10,000. You got to have trust in yourself at some point. So if you're doing the paper trading, be honest with yourself, clear your money blocks. I think that's important with the paper trading. You do change your approach when you move from paper trading to real cash. A few things will change, which is why I'm saying do the energy work, do your money blocks, paper trade. And then I think 10,000 is a good amount because there's enough at stake. and you're making good money, like you can actually see good cash coming into your account, and it's not a huge amount either. Oh, thank you for whoever. I'm glowing. Thank you so much. It was a relaxing day. Okay, some of the questions. It's so funny. I got so many questions in my DMs, but the question that was asked the absolute most, and I found it really interesting, was, what platform do you trade on? And I'm really curious. Anyone in the, feel free to drop this in the comments why you guys asked this question. I think it's such a personal choice. It really depends on what platform you feel comfortable on. I started with TD. I started old school 10 years ago. I had to go in the bank. They interviewed me. They had to make sure I was qualified to trade options, that I was qualified to trade on margin. Only then could you get an account. Things are so different now. Like, you could go on Robinhood. You can go on so many online platforms and open an account. I just haven't moved from there. I've tried other platforms, but I like TD. My clients don't like it. They prefer IBK. So it's really a personal choice what platform feels good to you. Fees are really expensive with the banks. And that's something I'm willing to pay. I get great customer service. I've had issues. I don't think there's any platform that doesn't have issues. I have had issues, but they've always been good to make that up to me. So I guess I'm stuck loyal on TD. And then somebody asked me, what are my preferred hours for trading on open, closing, or pre-market? Okay, so if it's pre-market, so I'm flexible. For me, the stock market is a wealth generating machine. It is always dispensing opportunity. Doesn't matter what time of day you enter the market, there is an opportunity. You just have to use a different approach depending on the time of day. So if it's pre-market, I like to get out pre-market, because when the market opens, it can show you something different. And again, it depends on the catalyst, right? Like Palantir this morning, that catalyst was wonderful. We knew it was going to continue going up. You could have gotten in pre-market and held till after market open. But I just have a rule, just a general rule. Today was an anomaly on that. I didn't trade pre-market, but it would have worked. My preference is on open. If I can be there 9:30, because there's so much volume, so much movement, so much volatility, you can be in and out in 2 to 3 minutes and then just have the rest of the day to do what you want. If that's not possible, I don't stress it. I don't sweat it. I like 10:30 is great, because usually there's a dip, and then 10:30 the market picks up again. 2:15 there's usually a lull, and then 2:15 it picks up again, and then closing. I would personally rather do 10:30 or 2:15 than closing, but if I haven't traded and it's closing, then I'll go in at closing. But really, you can go in any time of day. If anyone did the 1% club, in that, you guys saw, like, I was sitting in a coffee shop between meetings. I'm like, let me just check what's happening in the market, scrolled through. Instead of doom scrolling social media, I will doom scroll stock charts and quotes on my phone. For anyone asking what app, I do it on StockTwit. It is a very basic app. I love it though, because it's so basic. It just gives you the information you need. It's not information overload. So yeah, I'll do it. I did it in between two meetings. I made a trade. I don't even know what time that was. I think it was like 1 or 2 o'clock. Okay. So, okay. So Sim says, I asked about the platform because living in the UK. Oh yes, you did ask as well. You asked, I think I got about 5 or 6 of you asking in the DMs this same question about what platform. I forget the name. I think I messaged you the one that people are using in the UK. If anyone is here from the UK, please feel free to share what platform you use. Okay, I want to read this. You're not in my paid group, but you picked up one of my stocks that I shared today, and you made 2%. Yes, you're welcome. I'm so glad. Guys, I share in my story. I try and get in there every morning before open and tell you guys what I'm watching, so that you guys can watch the same stocks and make the same trades. In my paid channel, I share like live real time what I'm thinking, my strategy, why I've chosen everything on that watch list. But if you're not in the paid on my Instagram stories, you can still see exactly what I'm watching. And sometimes it'll become self-explanatory if you read the news, why I would be watching some of those stocks. Do I trade options? Yes, this was a question that came in as well. Yeah, I love options. I actually started with options on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and pretty much just banks, because I was like back then so cautious. This was all borrowed money that I was trading. So I was selling a lot of put options on banks. I never buy options. The only time I will buy an option is if I'm closing my position. I believe in selling options. I kind of look at it this way. Option is kind of like insurance, and insurance companies have a lot of money. They're just constantly selling, collecting premiums, and fulfilling when they have to. When I did options actively, I think it was probably about 10 to 20% of the time that I actually had to, like the option was fulfilled, that I actually had to make do on that promise. Usually they would just expire. If you sell a put option and you end up buying a stock, the first thing to do is sell a covered call against that stock and then start to recoup if you're at a loss. You probably wouldn't be at a loss. Okay. Okay, so we've got someone in the UK using IG. Okay. Okay, so another question, do I day trade every day? I don't day trade every day. The market is, like I said, it's a wealth generating machine. It's there for me when I need it. I used to treat it like an ATM. Like, how do I say? I would literally just go and be like, okay, this is how much we need this week. Once I made it, I'm done. I don't have to trade every day. Back then, it was like always a cash goal. My goal was like anywhere between $100 to $200 a day. But no, I don't. My whole intent of day trading is freedom. And if I'm looking for freedom, if I'm tied to the market every day, then I've missed the whole purpose of starting to day trade. So if I don't want to day trade, I won't. If there's a lot going on, I think last week I only traded for one day because I was preparing a lot of courses for you guys, and I was so involved and focused in that I just wasn't feeling the charts. So I did not day trade. If it's really volatile, when the war first started, I think that was like back in March or April, there was just so much uncertainty and there's so much up and down that I just opted out on many days, full well knowing like that's part of the game, right? You want to protect your capital. That is also a very strategic move. You've got to know when to hold back, when to do nothing. If you aren't feeling it, if you're not feeling your best, if you're distracted, don't trade. It's not worth trading and losing money and then having to come back and recoup it. You're better off not making anything. So do feel yourself. Every day I check in with myself. I'm like, how am I feeling? Like, do I really feel like trading today? Am I focused on something else? Would I rather be doing something else? If I did this for freedom and I'd rather be doing something else, I should just go do whatever that something else is. So no, I don't trade every single day. And then the last question is options. And I think I answered that. So yes, I do trade options. I do teach options in my course as well. So if you guys want to learn options, I definitely teach it. I love options. I think it's one of the easiest ways to make money in the market. It's just, for me, day trading has to be fun. And right now I'm having fun in long positions. You guys will notice I rarely do short. In fact, I don't think I've done a short sell all year this year. I'm just having so much fun with looking for these specific types of opportunities. But I know options inside out. It was the first thing I started trading, traded them for 5 years. And I highly recommend people learn options because it is a really easy way to make money in the markets. Okay. Did I miss any questions? Do I offer free coaching? Yes. Okay. Good question, because I actually just dropped a free masterclass called the 1% Method. And I break down in that masterclass what is the 1% Method, how I came up with it, why does it work, and how it works for people, what kind of results you guys can expect. When I first started day trading, I came into the stock market. I have no finance background, okay? Guys, I've never studied finance. I've never traded stocks. someone suggested it and I researched it and I looked at the stock market and I thought, oh my God, the amount of money that actually moves through the market on a daily basis was mind blowing to me back then. I was like, that's a lot of money. If I got $100 a day or $200 a day, that's like a speck of what is moved through the market every single day. It can't be that hard. This must just be a no-brainer. When I told myself that, because a lot of trading, guys, is all psychology, right? So the minute you say something like that to yourself, that I'm just making a little bit of money, okay, am I back? Okay. The minute you think to yourself that my goal is so tiny compared to like what's the big picture is, you've taken your goal off the pedestal. The minute your goal is off the pedestal, it feels more attainable. If I ever told, like when I made in my first year over 30% ROI, I didn't even know that was a big thing. To me, I was like, I don't know, I just took out $100, $200 a day. And when I told people, they're like, those are incredible returns. Like there's no buy and hold portfolio that gives you that. I said, I didn't know, right? Because I didn't know, because I was naive and it didn't feel hard, that I wasn't blocking myself. There was no limiting belief around it that, oh, this is too easy or this can't happen or this is impossible, because then you go and sabotage yourself, right? We've all been there where you place that like one impulsive trade that wipes out your profits. It's because of your limiting beliefs. I'm gone on a tangent. So back to it. Yes, I do have a free masterclass that explains why this method works. And a lot of it is psychology, how I came up with it, how you can actually start applying parts of it right away. So if you want that, just go to my bio, click on the link, and you can register for that free masterclass. And a little spoiler alert for everybody who's here on the live and everyone who's been watching to this point, the 1% Club is coming back at the end of the month. For those of you who don't know what the 1% Club is, a 1% Club is where I will drop live trainings in Telegram for a week. And I will also trade live in Telegram so you guys can hear everything I share in my paid Telegram channel. You guys can hear that in the 1% Club. So I'll be doing it live again at the end of August. Details will be dropping next week. Okay, so I've covered all the questions, and I don't think there's any more here. Thank you everyone so much for joining me. This is so fun. I'm going to try and get on here every Tuesday. I'm at soccer practice. I really have nothing else to do, so I will be on here and chatting with you guys live. If you have a question and I didn't answer it, or you haven't had a chance to ask, just send me a DM and I will answer next week. Thanks, guys.